Louisiana, and my mother grew up watching this, and she taught us about it. She was active in education issues and where I grew up in the city of Detroit, and so this is just something that was kind of injected into us at an early age. Me and all my brothers, you know. And I'm the only politician in the family, but I got several brothers who are lawyers, and I got one who's a doctor, and so he's trying to heal people who are ill, and he does a lot of work with indigent patients as well. So this idea of service is something we were brought up with.
And now, when you were sworn in as a congressman, you were sworn in on the Quran, and that was a big issue in the news, the fact that you wanted to use the Quran instead of the Bible or something else. Right. So tell me a bit about that, and tell me how you settled on the actual Quran which you used.
Well, the question of me swearing in came up before I even won the election. And in fact, a friend of mine who is Somali asked me to come on a cable access show. And, for those folks who are listening, in America, cable access is like the kind of TV that anybody, can just go, do a show, right? So a lot of times the quality is poor, and they kind of, it's kind of amateurish, right? And so, they play it in the middle of the night, and so I really was just there doing a favor for a friend who wanted to interview me, because it looked like I was going to win, but it was by no means settled, right? So he asked me, if you win, will you swear in on the Quran? And I said, I haven't won, so I don't know. He said, if you win, will you? I said, I don't want to count any chickens before they're hatched, man. I mean, I'm not sure. So he said, no, if you do. I said, if I do, yes. Okay, yes. So then what happened is that, the far right wing, got a hold of this. The people who were harshly critical of me because of my religion got a hold of this, and they saw it.
And these were the people that were critical of you before you got elected? And even now you're about to be sworn in, they still won't let go?
No, they won't. And so then they got it up on the right-wing blogs and started talking about Ellison's going to swear in on the Quran, and they whipped it up. And then some people on right-wing radio, who have national reach, started talking about it. Dennis Prager was saying that Keith Ellison can't swear in on the Quran. He has to swear in on the Bible. We don't care what your favorite book is, all this stuff. So, then I couldn't back down, I mean, I wasn't going to. I wasn't anything wrong. And actually, as a lawyer, I hadn't really explored the Constitution as much as I would have liked, and I found a part in it in Article 6 of the United States Constitution, which says that you cannot apply a religious test to anyone as a prerequisite for holding elective office. So it's unconstitutional to prohibit somebody from swearing in the Quran, and you can't ask anybody to hold allegiance to a particular faith or religion to hold office in America. And of course, our First Amendment states that there shall be no state religion in America. People are free to practice as they choose. Right. And so with these constitutional arguments in mind, I was prepared to go forward and just swear in on the Quran. You should know that in the real swearing in, there's no book. Nobody has a book. We all stand up on the floor and raise our hand, and we swear to uphold the Constitution. And nobody has a book. But then after that actual swearing in, individuals can get up and swear in with the Speaker of the House. And there you can have your family and members of your family with you. But that's not the swearing in that is constitutionally required. And so it really is a photo opportunity that I used to swear in with the Quran, right? Now, the first Quran I was going to use was one that my Catholic mother got for me. She said, look, Keith, a good friend of mine gave me this Quran, and it's beautiful. Here it is, it's in here, right? And this is a gift from my mother, and that's a scene from that's the Holy Mosque, right? Right. And so that's the one I was gonna use, but then I got a handwritten letter, and an individual said, look, you should use the Quran of Thomas Jefferson, and it was part of a collection he sold to the United States government for $24,000 after the first library burned down. And you could find it at reference number blah blah blah, and he gave me the exact number, and he signed it. And I actually contacted him later, but he told me he didn't want any publicity. Right. So I took his idea. I thought it was a fantastic idea. We contacted the Library of Congress, and you know, we arranged it. It was in the Rare Books room, and the day, you know, was just a matter of historical record. Got a lot of pictures of it. You can find it all over the web, and it's just a day I'll never forget.
Yeah, most Muslims won't forget it either. But Congressman, let me ask you, here in America, all Americans should be involved in the political system and have some idea of what's going on in their local constituencies, their areas. So let me ask you, I mean, if you could say, talking specifically to the Muslim community, how important is it for them to get involved in politics, not just as voters, but to start to run for municipal offices in their area and so on until, inshallah, maybe they can become a congressman or senator like yourself?
Well, you know, the Muslim community has to be engaged in the political process, not only as voters, but as candidates. The fact is that before the 110th Congress, there are no Muslims who were ever in the United States Congress. Now, before the Congress is even over, there's been 2 Muslims in the Congress, myself and Andre Carson. And so, you know, I'd say based on that, prospects are good, right? There's a young man named Sam Rasool, who's an American of Palestinian ancestry, Muslim. He's running in the state of Virginia, and his chances, I think, are good, particularly this year. But not just at the congressional level. There's a young man named Mohammed Zubair who just became a member of the Teaneck City Council in New Jersey. And so he ran on a slate of candidates that included a Christian, Orthodox Jew, and him. And they all won. And of course, Senator Larry Shaw of North Carolina has been in American politics for many years and has been a pioneer for us all. And so the fact is that it's there is a surging level of interest in politics from American Muslims. I mean, I've been all over this country, everywhere from Seattle to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, you know, Dallas, Texas, all the way to New York, New Jersey, Florida, Michigan, and Chicago, all in between. And everywhere I go, Muslims want to get more involved in politics. Some of them want to run for office, and many of the national organizations like ISNA, CARE, MAS are trying to. ISNA is the Islamic Society of North America. CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations. MAS is the Muslim American Society. And there, of course, there are others. They're all putting on candidate forums to teach people how to run. And there's the Center for Voter Advocacy down in Florida, a young man named Karim Wahid, who was a young lawyer who organized this group to just get people active in voting and really produce the grassroots organization. Then, of course, there's a lot of Muslim doctors who are concerned with the fact that there are 47 million Americans without health care insurance, want to do something about it. And so you've seen this proliferation of Muslim clinics all over the United States, whether it's in Los Angeles, Bloomington, Minnesota, or in Dayton, Ohio, or all over. They're popping up everywhere as Muslim doctors try to impact this healthcare crisis, which is fundamentally political, as you asked me about political things. So this is a surging political force, and it's critical because, look, to the degree that you don't control a situation, that situation can be used to control you. If Muslims don't get involved in the political process because they think it's haram, then other people will get involved in the political process and make decisions that Muslims have to follow.
That's right.
So the fact is, you might as well get involved. You might as well roll up your sleeves. There's nothing haram about voting. In fact, you know, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, counseled that we should engage in shura, or counsel, advice. We should have something to say about the direction of society. And we should, and our decision makers should take advice about the way we engage society. So isn't voting and democracy just another way of people consulting and having input into the direction society takes? Isn't it?
Of course.
And so the fact is that this is a very Muslim thing to do, to be involved, to meet the needs of neighbors, to care about the wayfarer, the orphan, people who are, facing adversity. You know, this is something that we should do.
Congressman, let me ask you, you're a relatively new congressman, but you realize that a lot of the policies that are made in the Congress and the Senate affect the Muslims around the world.
No doubt.
So I want to ask you,